Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be teaching you division of numbers in order basis. I'll be using the exercises on the screen to explain how it is done. Let's start with exercise number 1. 341. 341 base 5 divided by 22 base 5. If you want to do division in any basis, the first thing you do is to find the first thing you do is to construct the multiplication table of the number that you are using to divide. In this case, we are using 22 to divide 341 base 5. Okay, so the first thing we do is to construct the multiplication table of 22 in base 5, and we are going to do the multiplication table of 22 in base 5. Let's do it. 22 times 1 is equals to, we'll find out what that is. 22 times 2, 22 times 3, 22 times 4. Okay, we're going to stop just one short of the base in which we are working. Because we are evaluating in base 5. So we're going to stop at 22 multiplied by 4. Okay. Now let's quickly find out what this will be. If we say 22 times 1, you can watch my video on multiplication in other bases. We say 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. We're going to write it directly because this 2 is not equals to and not greater than the base which we are working with. That is base 5. So 22 times 1 in base 5 is equals to 22. Now 22 times 2 in base 5, let's check it out. 22 times 2 in base 5. If we say 2 times 2, that is 4. It's still less than 5, right? So we'll write it. Then 22, then 2 times 2, that is 4. Still less than 5, right? So therefore 22 base 5 times 2 is equals to 44. Now let's go to 22 times 3. 22 times 3. Okay, if we say 3 times 2, that is 6. Because 6 is greater than 5, we are not going to write 6 directly here. What we do is we divide it by 5. 6 divided by 5 is equals to 1 remainder 1. So we are going to write the remainder and carry on the 1 here to the next column. Okay, 3 times 2, that is 6, plus the 1 that we are bringing here, that will be 7. We're not going to write 7 here because we are dealing in base 5 and 7 is greater than 5. Okay, so what we're going to do is to divide that 7 by 5. And what is the answer? It is 1 remainder 2. So we're going to write down the remainder and carry the 1 on. And because there is no other number remaining here, we are going to write that 1 that we are carrying here. So therefore 22 times 3 is equals to 121. Now 22 times 4, I'll be quite fast here. You can watch my video on multiplication of number in other bases. Okay, so 22 times 4, let's see what it's going to give us. If you say 4 times 2, that is 8, divided by 5. That will be 1 remainder 3. Okay, we'll carry the 1 on. 4 times 2, that is 8, plus that 1 that we are carrying, that is 9, divided by 5, that is 1 remainder 4. Okay, so the 1 that we are carrying, we're going to write it here. So it's 143. Now that we have gotten the multiplication table of 22 in base 5, this is what we'll be using when we are doing our long division. Now let's do the long division and see what 341 divided by 22 will be. Let's draw it here. We are dividing 341 in base 5. We are dividing it by 22 in base 5. Now, how are we going to do this division? To do division in base 5, we are going to say how many 22 goes in 3? That is not possible, right? Since that is not possible, we are going to add one digit to it, which is 4. Now, how many 22 goes in 3 in 34 base 5? Okay, if we are dealing in base 10, it will be 1, and we're going to carry the remaining to the next. But in this case, it is a bit different. What we're going to do is we say how many 22 goes in 34. We'll go back to this our table, and we're going to look at the number that is closest to 34 but is less than 8. So let's look out for it. If we look at all these numbers, when we multiply 22 in base 5 with other number in the multiplication table of 22 in base 5, we discover that 22 is the only number that is less than 34 and is closest to it. Okay, so meaning that 22 base 5 will go one time in 34, and we're going to write that 1 here. Okay, then we say 22 times 1, that will be equals to, let's look at the multiplication table. 22 in base 5 times 1 in base 5 in base 22 in base 5 times 1 in base 5 is going to give us 22. So we write the 22 here. Okay, now having written the 22 here, we are going to subtract it from 341 base 5. Don't forget that all the calculations will be in base 5. You can watch my video on subtraction of numbers in other bases. And let's do the subtraction here. 3 minus 2, that is 1. Okay. 4 minus 2, that is 2. Okay. Now, let's do the next division, which is how many 22 goes in 12? That is not possible, right? Then we are going to carry this one and bring it down. Okay. Then we say how many 22 go in 121? Okay. For us to get that, we'll go back to our multiplication table of multiplication table in base 5. And we're going to look at the number that is less than but closest to 121. We're going to look at the number that is equals to or less than 121 but closest to it. Okay, we're going to look at the number that is closest to 121 and is not greater than it. That is, it is either less than it or equals to it. And if you look at our multiplication table, we can see that 121 here is 121. It is the number that is closest to it, and it is not greater than 121, right? So meaning that 22 goes in 121 3 times. Okay, we're going to write the 3 here. Then we say 22 times 3 in base 5 is going to give us 121. Then we write the 121 here. Okay. Now we are going to subtract this 121 from 121, and that's going to give us 0. And since there is no other numbers remaining here, don't forget that this is the base, the number indicating the base. That is base 5. Okay. So that is 0. So now, therefore, it means that 341 in base 5, 341 in base 5 divided by 22 in base 5 is equals to 13. And this is our final answer. Okay, this is our final answer. Let us look at the next exercise. Number 2. 356 base 8 divided by 7 base 8. We are going to use the same method that we used in this to do this evaluation. And the first thing to do is to write down the multiplication table of 7 in base 8. So let's do it. 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4, 7 times 5, 7 times 6, 7 times 7. And we're going to stop at 7 times 7 because we have to stop just one short of the base in which we are working. Now let's look at 7 times 1. 7 times 1 is equals to 7, and since it's less than 8, that will be 7. We don't need to evaluate it further. 7 times 2 is 14. Because 14 is greater than 8, we are going to divide 14 by 8, and that will be 1 remainder 6. And since there is no other column, we're going to work in, we are going to drop the 1 that we are carrying here, and that will be 16 base 8. So therefore, 7 base 8 times 2 base 8 is equals to 16 base 8. Okay. If you're not clear with this multiplication, you can watch my video on multiplication of numbers in other bases. Let's look at 7 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21. Because 21 is greater than 8, we are going to, because 21 is greater than 8, which is the base in which we are working, we are going to divide it by 8. And that will give us 2 remainder 5. Okay. So we'll write 5 here, and we're going to write the 2 here. Okay. Then next, 7 times 4, that is 28, divided by 4, that is 3 remainder 4. Okay. 7 times 5, that is 35, divided by 8, that is equals to 4 remainder 3. Okay. That's 43 base 8. Don't forget that we are working in base 8. 7 times 6, that is 42. Okay. Divided by 8, that will be 5. Remainder 2. Okay. And we'll write the 5 here. Okay. 7 times 7, that is 49. Divided by 8, that is 49 divided by 8, that is 6, remainder 1. Okay, so 7 times 7 base 8 will give us 61 base 8. Once again, if you're not clear about how I did this multiplication, you can watch my videos on multiplication of numbers in other bases. Having done the multiplication table of 7 in base 8. We will now go to our long division and see how this division is done. Okay, don't forget that the reason why you did this multiplication table is because we'll be using it in evaluating this expression. Now let's do our long division now. We say 356 base 8 divided by 7 base 8. Now let's first see how many times does 7 goes in 3. That is not possible, right? Since it's not possible, we add one next digit to it, which is 5. How many times does 7 goes in 35 in base 8? The way we're going to know is that we'll go back to our multiplication table of 7 in base 8 and look at the number that is closest to 35 but not greater than 8. And if you look at it, the number that is closest to 35 and not greater than 8 is 34. Okay, and when you look at this 34, you can see that you have to multiply 7 by 4 for you to get 34, meaning that 7 goes in 35 4 times, okay, in base 8, right? And 7 times 4 in base 8 is equals to 34. You write it here. And then you are going to subtract this from this 35. And let's see what we get. 3 minus 3, that is 0. Okay. 5 minus 4, that is 1. Okay. How many times does 7 goes in 1? That is not possible. So we have to bring this one down here. 6. Okay, base 8. Now, how many times does 16? How many times does 7 goes in 16 in base 8? And for us to know this, we need to go back to our multiplication table and look at which number. What are we going to multiply? What number are we going to multiply with 7 to give us the number that is closest to 16 and not greater than 8? And when you look at it, the number that is closest to 16 here is 16, and the 16 is not greater than 16, right? So it means that 7 goes in 16 2 times. Okay, we're going to write the 2 here. Okay, and when you multiply 7 by 2 in base 8 to give you 16, right? 16 base 8. Then you subtract this from this, and what you will get is 0. Okay, now our long division end here, and what we have is 42. What this means is that 356 base 8 divided by 7 in base 8 is equals to 42 base 8, and this is our final answer. If you enjoyed this video, kindly like and click the subscribe button. When you click the subscribe button, a bell icon will pop up. Click it. It is the alert bell that notify you when I upload new videos. And also don't forget to share. Thank you for watching my video. Till I see you in my next video. Take care and bye bye.